Good afternoon, everyone. Spotted this article in Breitbart, 485 scientific papers published that undermine consensus in climate change. That piqued my interest. Following over to the no-trick zone, crumbling consensus is an understatement. This entire series of papers, ignored by the mainstream media, casts doubt on the position of anthropogenic global warming as a function of the climate's thermostat control knob, period. They've broken these down into natural mechanisms, including all of the oceans, the failed climate modeling, and the natural changes in climate variability and observations. We hear so much about, the evaporating oceans are causing all this new cloud formation because of heating oceans. Well, the heat sure isn't north of Iceland in the seas. It's sure not in the western tropical Indian Ocean. It's definitely not in the central Labrador Sea. It's not in the Mediterranean. It's not in the North Atlantic Ocean. It's not in the Southwest Pacific. It can only be galactic cosmic rays brought on by the grand solar minimum. Please remember to subscribe to Adapt 2030 and click the bell so you can get the latest updates. As always, Breitbart putting out nuggets of truth. 485 scientific papers published in 2017, just last year, that undermine the supposed consensus on climate change. Where's the mainstream media to pick any of this up as a package going forward to show that there is not a consensus and there's others' opinions out there? The science is not nearly as settled among climate scientists as people imagine. Media is not going to touch it, so let me get on so we can show the truth. I decided to follow these links and I'll share my findings with you. Let's jump over to the no tricks zone. All of these links are in the description box below the video. Your mind is going to be blown wide open if you follow these links through these scientific papers that were published in peer-reviewed journals. There's 485 of the papers and over 300 graphs. And that's just for the sea surface temperature charts. Crumbling consensus. And as a total package, these 485 papers cast doubt whether CO2 emissions, as considered anthropogenic global warming, action really is the control knob for the function of our climate. This is massive. This is the biggest amount of information ever released about our climate with the newest science, data, the newest tools, the newest instruments, yet they're not talking about the findings. Now, the compilation's been broken into four main positions. I'll categorize them here. We're going to run through and then we'll come into the graphs. 1. Natural mechanisms play a far larger role than what the IPCC claims is negligible in the net changes on the climate system. 2. Warming, sea levels, glacier, ice retreat, ice rebounds, hurricane intensity, drought intensity experienced during this era, our modern era, are neither unprecedented nor remarkable. They do not fall outside the range of natural variability. This in itself should be front page news across the planet. And then I linked also the 150 graphs for this in the box as well. You're going to want to chase these down. 3rd position. The computer climate models are not reliable or consistently accurate. 4th position, current emissions and the mitigation policies, especially related to green energy renewables, are ineffective and more harmful. It takes more energy to put in to create a solar panel or a wind turbine than you get out of it. The pollution created by the process to create these is much more detrimental than any effects of elevated CO2. That could be an entire series of articles in publications across our planet if they wish to discuss the issues. And then the editors up at No Trick Zone did a really good job in breaking it down by the natural mechanisms of weather, climate change. How many papers were of solar influence on the climate? Again, sun drives our climate. We're going into a grand solar minimum. Part 1 is all about natural mechanisms, especially with the oceans. I am sick and tired of people saying that the heat is going to the oceans and the oceans are evaporating and this is why we're getting more cloud cover. And this is the reason the torrential rains and atmospheric compression events, massive snowstorms, or all-time record snows are based on evaporating oceans. Untrue. And I like how it also takes into consideration volcanic and tectonic influences on the climate. So let's start a little further back in the past. You've heard forever that the oceans have never been this warm, our Earth's never been this hot, we're the ones responsible. Far left side there, 12,000 years ago, 10,000 years, 8, 6, 4, wait away, 3,500 years ago, and look how substantially warmer the Eastern Pacific was than today. They're also squawking on about the Pacific Ocean is warming, and this is the reason that the clouds are forming. Well, if that were the case, 3,000 years ago, we should have had just a cloud planet. There should be no sunlight available to us at that time. Equatorial Atlantic Ocean heat content as well. Cooler than it's been in the past. Staying on that Equatorial Atlantic, same downtrend. Where is this supposed massive heating spike that we're getting to cause all the cloud formation? Pacific Ocean heat content? That's a reverse hockey stick. That's going straight down. Western Pacific warm pool sea surface temperatures. It's actually dipped in the last 500 years. And remember, you can't warm an ocean in like 10 years. It takes centuries to warm an ocean. So all of this about, hey, we've been putting more CO2, it's man's fault. Just in the last 30 years, the temperatures are rising. Use some common sense. You can't heat an ocean in 30 years. It's hundreds of years. And for those of you that keep saying warming oceans cause clouds in this feedback loop of warming CO2, man's to blame. North Iceland sea surface temperatures down. Northeastern Atlantic Ocean heat down. Where's the heat going to? It's not evaporating our oceans. Let's come a little more fast forward, 1980 to 2017. North Atlantic Ocean sea surface temperatures down. There's no evaporation happening there from warming oceans. Central Labrador Sea up to 2016 from 1948 down. If that was true, 1970 should have been massive, massive cloud cover across the planet because it's warmer than the sea surface temperatures even in 2016. Down. There's no heat there. Where's the evaporation coming from? Labrador Sea, 10 meters down, 150 meters. 1965 was just as warm as today. Wait a second, we weren't putting up that much CO2 back then. Let's jump to the Mediterranean. The heat has got to be going there. Well, maybe not. Again, back in 1945, it was actually much warmer than it was today, so the effects of CO2 were not being even felt on our planet around World War II. Where's the heat gone to? No heat in the Mediterranean either. You'd think that would have been one because it's shallow and it should heat faster, right? Let's jump over the western tropical Indian Ocean because all the heat has to be hiding over there, must be. Nope, wait a second. It was far warmer in 1980. Where was all the cloud cover on our planet in 1980 that would have just sent us massive record snowstorms and all-time record floods into the 200-year storms month after month across our planet? That should have happened in 1980 with this thought of heat going in the oceans causing cloud cover, and this is the reason now in 2017 and 18 we're getting all these massive storms. Look back in 1980, what happened? Jumping over to the southwest Pacific sea surface temperatures and southern ocean-wide sea surface temperatures. Wait a second, we're dropping off there as well. So the heat's not going into either of these areas on our planet. Oops, got to come up with a different excuse now. Eastern Equatorial Pacific, let's take a closer look in from 1986. Wait a second, 1997-98, you mean that giant El Nino spike? Where's the heat? It's almost like that Wendy's commercial way back in the 1980s. Where's the beef? Now we could just tag it. Where's the heat? South China Sea. I like to study this area because China's emperors always changed when they went into a grand solar minimum. So you can see why China is putting out the string of pearls and really getting ready for this next change that's coming. They saw the past, they see the future, and I'm really interested in South China Sea temperatures along with what had happened through India, the Indian Ocean. Let's go back to part 2 of the unsettled science. Again, No Trick Zone breaks it down. How many papers were talking about failed climate modeling, yet none of this comes into the mainstream media. They just don't want to talk about it. I'm giving you all the resource links here, and I hope you do some of your own research. Part 3, startling. I could do 100 videos just on all the links and graphs that are within this little section of these 485 scientific papers. Natural climate change, observations, reconstructions. It's all about polar ice and cosmic rays. They show that there's an increase in galactic cosmic rays during grand solar minimums. That increase, you got it, cloud cover. Also, it has an effect on our volcanoes and the tectonic shifting plate systems on our planet. It comes as a package. And we're starting to get all of it at the same time, and our societies are not ready, and our governments don't want to talk about it, and the media refuses to talk about it. And here we are spiking with galactic cosmic rays. Expect more floods, expect bigger snowstorms, expect your lives to change, and expect our crops to be lost. And I don't know why nobody's wanting to talk about this elephant in the room right here. Thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of the video. If you appreciate this type of research, consider supporting me on Patreon or PayPal.